Hey beauties and beasts, welcome back to the channel. So it's that time again. Grab your favorite blanket, get your skincare ready, and settle in because tonight we're going somewhere strange. You know I love a good abandoned places story. There's always something about empty buildings that just gets to me. The silence, the decay, the feeling that something happened there, something that made everyone leave. But tonight's story, it is not just any abandoned building. It's an entire city. They called it the Sanzhi UFO houses. The locals called it something else, the Resort of Death. So get cozy and let's talk about the UFO houses that even the government gave up on. In 1978, the coast of New Taipei City, Taiwan. And there, buildings that looked like something straight out of a science fiction film was being constructed. Cylindrical structures joined top and bottom with round, smooth exterior walls. And from a distance, they appeared to be floating in the sky. So people called them the Sanzhi UFO houses. The design was inspired by Finnish architect Matti Saronen's revolutionary Futuro houses, flying saucer-shaped prefabricated houses that were supposed to represent the future of living. In the late 1960s, Saronen designed these elliptical pods as ski cabins that could be airlifted by helicopter and assembled in just 2 days. So this concept spread worldwide, and Taiwan wanted its own piece of that space-age dream. And this wasn't just any resort. It was specifically designed to attract American military officers stationed across East Asia, a slice of futuristic paradise for soldiers far from home. And wealthy Taiwanese families were also targeted, looking for unique vacation properties. The project was developed by Hongguo Group in collaboration with Yuzhoukou, a local plastics manufacturer. With government support, they planned swimming pools, water slides, landscaped ponds, and modern interiors. Tens of thousands of square meters of oceanfront land, and it was supposed to be magnificent. But the strange thing was that no one ever came to vacation there. Despite all the money invested, the resort never welcomed a single guest. The doors remained firmly shut, and at night, only flickering lights could occasionally be seen through the broken windows. Some people say that place wasn't a city. It was a tomb. Local people say someone disturbed the dragon statue, and that is why it was cursed. What was this dragon statue, and why was this place destined to become ruins? In 1978, Taiwan's economy was in its golden age. Luxury cars lined every street, and a new class of wealthy people was emerging. Around that time, Yuzhoukou, a famous plastics manufacturer in Sanzhi, announced an ambitious project. Sanzhi Pod City, Taiwan's future, represented by an ultra-luxury beachside resort. Dozens of UFO-shaped homes would stretch along the coastline near Danshui. Each building featured prefabricated concrete bases topped with fiber-reinforced plastic exteriors. Colorful oval forms resembling flying saucers. These weren't ordinary vacation homes. They were modular, designed so that if the resort became popular, you could simply stack more pods on top of the existing ones. The future literally building upon itself. And the Hongguo Group partnered with Yuzhou to make this vision reality with full government support. It was meant to be a paradise for the wealthy. Construction began in grand fashion. Hundreds of workers were deployed every day. The sounds of concrete pouring and crane machinery echoes through the coastal air. But that peace didn't last long. Just weeks after construction began, the first accident occurred. A massive crane suddenly lost its balance and toppled over, crushing workers beneath it. They investigated the cause, but nothing unusual turned up. No mechanical failure, no human error. The experts simply said the crane just fell over, strangely. But no one knew this was just the beginning. Days later, a site supervisor died in a car accident on his way home from work. And then another worker collapsed on site from a sudden heart attack, a healthy young man who had been perfectly fine the day before. One worker who was there at the time later said, "That site was strange. The tents would shake. Tools moved on their own. And every lunchtime, I heard someone calling my name." Around that time, ominous rumors began spreading through the worksite. It's the curse of the dragon. So at the entrance to the resort stood an old dragon statue. It had been a guardian spirit watching over the village for generations. But the construction company wanted to widen the road for their vehicles. And so they cut the dragon statue in half. So in Taiwan, dragons are sacred protectors, and destroying or damaging a dragon statue is considered one of the worst possible acts, an invitation for terrible misfortune. Everyone just dismissed it as superstition, but remarkably, accidents continued without stopping after that day. Mysterious red stains appeared at the construction site, doors rattled even without wind. Unexplainable cracks formed on the concrete walls. Underground pipes burst for no reason. One worker who stayed behind alone at night to organize equipment later described what he saw through a window. It wasn't human. Something was just watching me. Its eyes were so big, I could only see the whites. After that day, he never returned to the site. Gradually, workers began quitting. And just like that, the construction site had lost all its laughter. A heavy, damp, uncomfortable atmosphere dominated the area. Every day, people were getting hurt. The managers couldn't understand why. Why did accidents keep happening only at this place? It's strange. We do safety inspections every day. Those were the words of the manager who took over after the site supervisor's death. But he too collapsed days later with an unexplained high fever. And that is when the term curse of the dragon began spreading seriously among local residents. So in Taiwan, the 7th lunar month is called Ghost Month, a time when the gates of the underworld open and spirits roam freely among the living. And during this month, Taiwanese people avoid swimming, starting new businesses, moving homes, or making any major life decisions. They believe the spirits of the drowned may pull swimmers under. They leave front row seats empty at performances, reserved for ghost VIPs. For a deeply superstitious culture, building a resort on what might be cursed land where a sacred dragon had been destroyed, was just unthinkable. And as I said, the dragon statue has long been a protective talisman. When typhoons came and the village remained safe, people would bow before the dragon. When opening a new shop, they would burn incense and perform rituals. But the construction company ignored all these traditions. As stories spread among villagers about the bisected dragon, word circulated that the dragon's wrath had been provoked. And to make matters worse, strong winds from the sea grew more intense. Equipment was knocked over throughout the construction site. Work was constantly delayed. Workers reported seeing apparitions. Every night, something like a large shadow moved near the artificial lake. At night, lights from somewhere inside the resort's window would flicker. And those were definitely not lights that people had turned on. Nobody was there. And some said those lights were the dragon's eyes, red, slowly moving, watching over the entire city. One villager said, after that day, blessings disappeared from this village. Roofs collapsed even without typhoons. And every night, we heard the dragon crying. The construction site had descended into chaos. Workers quit one by one out of fear. Those who remained complained of strange physical symptoms. And most disturbing of all, several workers just killed themselves, despite showing no prior signs of depression or any kind of trouble. According to various sources, close to 20 people died at this site over just 2 years of construction. And the exact number remains unknown because, and this is the truly chilling part, the Hongguo group allegedly destroyed all records of construction accidents and on-site deaths. The victims became nameless, and in Taiwanese belief, nameless spirits are the most restless of all. But the company didn't stop construction. Too much money had been invested. This is just superstition, pushed through to the end, they said. They didn't believe in the dragon's curse. And finally, in 1980, construction was declared complete, but no one would move in. The buildings were finished, but they stood empty. Though construction was finally complete, sales were disastrous. Rumors had already spread everywhere. And even those who had already signed contracts began canceling. If you sleep there, the dragon appears in your dreams. It's bad luck. And the construction company was trapped. In 1980, Yuzhou Co. went bankrupt. The Hongguo Group faced massive investment losses. And so the resort, though completed, was thoroughly abandoned. And obviously, no one was there to maintain it. As the years passed, rust formed, windows shattered, and red moss spread across the walls. The once colorful pods, once symbols of a bright future, slowly decayed under Taiwan's humid, typhoon-prone climate. A city where no one lives was born. But people said the site was never truly empty. Inside the abandoned pods, visitors found something unsettling. Fully furnished model units, beds, sofas, tables, all arranged as if waiting for occupants. In Taiwan, when selling real estate, developers furnish sample units to show buyers how the rooms could look. So these houses appeared as if people had been living there and suddenly vanished, which made the units look even creepier. And then there was the other story, the one that truly made this place legendary. According to local legend, the land held a dark secret far older than the dragon statue. Rumors spread that the site sat atop an old burial ground, a mass grave from Taiwan's brutal colonial past. So from 1624 to 1662, Taiwan was partly ruled by the Dutch East India Company, and it was a violent period. The Dutch seized farmers' land, raised taxes, and executed those who resisted. In 1636, they massacred indigenous people on Liuqiu Island, sealing around 300 inhabitants in caves and killing them with poisonous fumes over 8 days. In 1652, a Chinese rebellion was crushed, and approximately 4,000 people were slaughtered. The coastal areas of northern Taiwan were soaked in blood. Some said that as many as 20,000 skeletal remains from the 17th century Dutch colonial period lay beneath the soil of that Sancha resort. That construction workers had unearthed human bones during the initial excavation, and the company had simply buried them again, hiding the discovery to avoid hurting sales. Whether this is true has never been officially confirmed, but what is confirmed is that directly behind where the UFO settlement stood, there is an actual overgrown cemetery. And some say that it dates back to the Dutch colonial era. And in Taiwan, where ancestor worship is sacred and disturbing graves brings terrible misfortune, this belief alone was enough to terrify everyone. The Sanju UFO houses became a forbidden zone that no one officially entered for nearly 30 years. The government had no jurisdiction over this land. It still belonged to the Hongguo group, who simply left it to rot. But as time passed, memories of the curse began to fade, and the site became an underground legend. In the early 2000s, photographs of this colorful, decaying pods began circulating on the internet. So urban explorers, people who illegally enter abandoned places to photograph them, they made Sanju world famous. The images were haunting. Vibrant UFO-shaped buildings covered in vines and moss set against Taiwan's misty coastal backdrop. Shattered windows, rusted pipes, the eerie beauty of a future that never happened. The site became a symbol of ruins porn, the photography genre that finds beauty in decay. So MTV used this location for filming. The 1987 ninja action film White Phantom shot fight scenes among the pods. The German pianist Hauschka released a track called Sanju Pod City on his 2014 album Abandoned City. The site even became a multiplayer map called Pod Swarm in Call of Duty Black Ops 2. So this cursed resort had become famous worldwide. In 1989, there was brief hope for revival. Cai Jinqian, president of Haichengtian, a local beer company, announced he would complete the project. And he invested $24 million and hired architects to assess the structures. And the survey results were devastating. These aren't proper buildings. The reinforced concrete covered with fiber-reinforced plastic cannot withstand earthquakes. If a quake hits, not a single structure will survive. And Sanju sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, one of the most seismically active regions on Earth. So basically, the pods were death traps waiting to happen. Within a year, Tsai abandoned the project entirely, and those who visited after the failed revival reported continued strange phenomena. In the pre-dawn darkness, figures seemed to stand inside the windows. Couldn't it just be reflected light? And when asked this, witnesses would answer. The form was faint, but it was definitely a human shape. And after that, people began calling this place the Resort of the Dead. In December 2008, despite an online petition to preserve at least one pod as a museum, demolition began. By 2010, the Sanju UFO houses were completely erased from the earth. Government announced plans to build a tourist resort with hotels and beach facilities on the cleared land. But here's the thing. As of 2025, that land still sits empty. No major construction has begun. The promised hotels and water park have never materialized. The redevelopment, for some reason, has been stalled for over 15 years. Some blame economic factors, the COVID-19 pandemic, investment challenges. Others say investors are still afraid that the land simply won't allow anyone to build there. But local residents still whisper. On rainy nights, they say strange lights flicker near the seaside. And that is not light reflecting off the waves. They believe it's those who haven't yet departed lighting their way. And just a short drive away, at Emerald Bay in the nearby Wanli district, other UFO houses still stand. Real future homes, some still occupied, others slowly decaying. The highest concentration of future houses anywhere in the world. And many visitors confuse them with the demolished Sanju pods, so they go looking for ghosts and find these structures instead. And as of now, the future of Wanli's UFO village is currently undecided. Most of the futuros have been abandoned and are just falling apart. They could be demolished at any moment, just like Sanju. There one day, gone the next, without any prior notice. A city built on someone's greed, completed atop someone's death, and perhaps still watched over by something that refuses to leave. In the memories of countless people around the world, Sanjapad City remains as the resort of death. So what do you think about this place? Do you think this land is just haunted? Is it cursed? The crazy thing is that, as I told you, the land is still empty. Nothing's going on there. No construction, no plans, just rotting there. That land. 15 years after they tore everything down, nobody's built anything there, which doesn't make sense, you know? The hotels, the water park, that never happened. Some say the government just gave up on this land because it's cursed. No major companies even want to get involved because this land is bad luck. So what's going on here? I don't know. You tell me. Anyways, our lovely beauties and beasts, that is all for tonight. If you enjoy this video, leave a like, leave a comment. If you can subscribe, that's even better. And I will see you in the next video. Sleep tight. Bye-bye.